Belfiore.
Here.
Mr. Berardi.
Here.
Mr. Bianco.
Here.
Mr. Ludson.
Here.
Mr. Lozano.
Here.
Mr. Plaza.
Here.
Mr. Kaminga.
Here. Thank you, sir. Quorum has been established. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Belfiore, will you read the mission statement, please?
As the mission of Miller School District 80 is inspiring educational excellence in a nurturing environment.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to our action item. Before I ask for the motion, I do want to have some discussion. I want to modify one piece of the agenda tonight. And the modification I want to make, I think is a simple one. I want to move public participation from its current location on the agenda, and I want to move it to after the building monthly reports, but before the board committee reports. The reason I want to do that is because Ms. Palmer and Mrs. Guzik are going to present on school reopening. It's a very sensitive topic. It's a big topic here in the district, in the community, and in the state. So what I want to do is the people that made it out tonight, our guests tonight, I want them to have the opportunity to sign in if they have a question after that presentation. And you can ask Ms. Palmer, Ms. Guzik, and the board any questions that you have. I don't want you to have to commit to signing in now and then question or not. So we'll do that after. I want to move it to that location. Any objections on that? Okay. With that being said, I need a motion to approve the agenda as it is now modified.
I will second.
Motion by Tim, seconded by Squall. Sarah, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ludson.
Yes.
Mr. Bianco.
Yes.
Mr. Tribuzio.
Yes.
Mr. Berardi.
Yes.
Mr. Belfiore.
Yes.
Mr. Plaza.
Yes.
Mr. Lozano.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The motion is approved. Recognition of our visitors. Welcome again, everybody. It's nice to see people in person again. So thank you for making it out, and it's good to see you. Correspondence, take a letter from the NSD. Again, we move our public participation. FOIA request for this meeting since the last one. There has been no FOIA request in the district. On to our presentation, reopening of schools and fee reduction this fall.
All right, thank you very much. I would ask that our board members turn and face the screen. As I said in a letter to our faculty this week, this is perhaps the most important decision that I professionally made in my career, and certainly one that Michelle and I have had to wrestle with. Never before have we really been so aware of how what we do every day impacts the safety of our students and the health of our students. So with that said, we are presenting tonight a lot of information, and we know that our plan could be changed tomorrow as we move throughout what this pandemic has done to us. So I would like to begin with just reviewing where have we been. Because on March 12th, our governor came on to the airwaves and talked about this pandemic to the state. We as a district decided that next week would be e-learning. We had an e-learning plan in place. And we took the opportunity to put our remote e-learning plan into effect. And then we had spring break. During spring break, we had an opportunity to recalibrate and create e-learning that wound up taking us through the rest of the school year. So that was a very different kind of remote e-learning. It was an e-learning that happened in an emergency situation. Since then, we've had a chance to reflect on what we did and how it went. In May and June, we surveyed parents regarding that remote e-learning experience, and we got a lot of great feedback from our parents. Most of it very positive. We have such a supportive community. They really understood that our faculty was doing everything they could under incredible circumstances to deliver the best education to our students. So we reviewed that data with teacher teams, and we knew as teachers that we wanted to put in place, if we would need it again, an upgraded, more robust e-learning plan. We call it 2.0. So our teacher teams created that, and at the June 16th board meeting, we presented what e-learning 2.0 will probably look like. And we reviewed some options for reopening, but we also knew that we couldn't decide yet. So on June 23rd, what we had been waiting for occurred. The state of Illinois published a 60-page reopening guidance document. I sent it out to everyone. It's posted on the ISB website. It's really showing us a path toward what we need to do. And one of the big things was that we value in-person learning. And we need to find a way to try to step back into in-person learning. That was clear in the guidance. What wasn't clear was that there is one size fits all for every district. And the guidance basically said to district superintendents and school leaders, what's best for you is what you need to do. So we started planning. We sent out a survey to our parents and our teachers regarding all of the requirements that are going to be in place for this reopening. And what do you think? How do you react? What do you think would be best for us here in District 80? We consulted with many surrounding superintendents, obviously the Norwood Park superintendents, Ridgewood, Union Ridge, and Penoyer. There's various things. None of them have completely settled, but they all did the same thing we did. We did some surveying. They're looking at hybrid models and a lot of online options. We consulted with superintendents and districts throughout the state and monitored what the governor and the Illinois Department of Public Health was saying. In July, we consulted with our teachers and obviously our parents and board members in a qualitative way. I had many conversations, long conversations. So did Michelle. So did many of our teachers, having conversations with other districts. What would be the best for us? And so tonight we are presenting what we believe would be the best and safest option to step back into in-person learning on August 26th. Today is July 21st. We know a lot could change between now and then, but this is what is going to be our best guess for returning in person, but obviously not anything close to what we did to begin last school year in normal world. So just to review some of the major requirements of reopening, every child and staff member, when they're in school, needs to have a mask on. Even if they're socially distant, even if, they are here by themselves, they need to have that mask on. We need to provide that safety in a school setting. Tonight is a community event, so masks are optional in the guidance. That's why I'm speaking right now without a mask, but I will be putting it back on when I go sit close to people. So, but we are adults. We get to make that choice. Kids, can't make that choice. We have to help them stay in their masks the whole time they're here. We also will not be having large groups over 50. Social distancing. We believe that 6 feet or more would be best to limit and dramatically reduce the possibility of anybody getting infected in our school community. We will be putting our students and staff through a symptoms check. So temperatures taken, you'll be asked to verify that your child does not have any symptoms of COVID-19 when you send them to school. We'll be getting you more information about how that will work, but for right now, just know that it probably will be through our Crisis Go app, that we partnered with Crisis Go, and they're helping us with some of those verifications. And finally, we are putting in place different and more school-wide cleaning and disinfecting. So I'll let Michelle run you through all of the possibilities.
So based on those guidelines, we have 5 options. We've narrowed down 5 options. Option 1 would be remote learning 2.0 that Stephanie already talked about, which would be more robust for our students. Option 2 is a 2-day in-person, half of the students at the school at any one time. And then half are learning at home, and then then they flip. And then on Wednesdays would be all remote learning. So it would be an A group and an E group. On option 3, we have 4 days of in-person, so you can see there's a trend here where we're gradually building back to full-time students in the building. So option 3, 4 days of attending. And then option 4, we're up to 5 half days, so 5.5 hours a day, which would include lunch at that point. That would be our first time that the students would be eating in the building. And then option 5, which is when we're back to in-person as we're used to, where students who choose still to be home for e-learning and home for e-learning. In the option 2, and the other options, we would be doing some deep cleaning in between the students coming in the building. So if A and B are here Monday, Tuesday, we deep clean on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, would have a new set of students.
So I wanted to present some of the results from some of the key questions off of our surveys. At the time we surveyed our parents, we wanted to emphasize that students would, when they are in the building, will be in one desk all day long for as many hours as they are here. So even at the junior high, students would come into school and sit in one desk. We would rotate the teachers for the subject matter specialties. At leave, the child would be in one desk and they would be in their room, which is a little bit more normal, would feel more normal to a first grader or a second grader. When we did that, 70% of our parents said, yes, this sounds about right. That students would be restricted in their movement, they would be socially distanced, etc. About 15% of our parents said, you know, this sounds too restrictive. And then another good chunk of our parents, about 10%, said, you know what, I don't like it, but I don't have a choice. I'm going to go back to work. So that was a key feature, was, you know, do you understand that school is going to look very different?
The next question asks, knowing that the students will be in masks at one desk all day, are you in favor of limiting the amount of time that the students are in school with a minimum of 5.5 hours instead of 7 hours, which is typically when students are in school? And you can see up our survey, there were 447 responses on the survey, definitely broke the record of any survey we've ever done in district 80.
Far
Super excited.
any survey.
We had 271 or 90 or 60% of the parents say, yes, I think 5 hours in a mask is enough. And that's about the time that they think is enough. And then we had 145 say, yes, if that's fine with me as long as e-learning is still offered. So a hybrid program where we're in person, we also have an option of e-learning. A small amount, 43, said, yeah, that sounds okay as long as we're offering some kind of daycare. And then, kind of went down from there with, yes, I think this will help limit the spread if the children are in school less times, and
things about COVID school is that we know that some students will have to stay home all the time. Whether they have a medical condition, whether they have to quarantine for some reason, there's going to be students who are learning at home the whole time. And one of our remote e-learning 2.0 features is more live instruction. So students would have to log in at a certain time, they would see a live teacher, and then learn that way. So is that something that you would expect and appreciate in this new model? And overwhelmingly, 55% said, yes, this is great, it will make my child feel included. Some said, 155, so 35% or so said, this is gonna be hard for me to make my child be online at appointed times. Some said, yes, I understand that the live stream is gonna be available. And then for 3 hours, they liked there was a 3-hour part to this question that got cut off. And then 97 of the respondents said 3 hours sounds like a long time. So you're just trying to gauge, is there an expectation for live instruction? And that was, yes, part of the case.
This was good news that we asked if we are in e-learning and your child is working at home, do you have Wi-Fi access? And as you can see, 98.4% are families do. I think it was 7.
So we will find these 7 and we will offer Wi-Fi access hotspots to our families. We have access to getting that for some of our families who are without. So the ultimate question, now that you kind of understand what COVID school is going to be like, your child comes in, they're tested to make sure they don't have a fever, they're questioned, they're in a mask, they're seated in one place all day, they go home. Now that you understand what that is, are you willing to send your child? Now you need to know something about this survey. This survey came out right before Texas and Florida started spiking. We ended this survey. The very next week, the numbers started going up in America. So at this time, 12% of our parents said, not going to send my kid back. 62% said yes, my kid's coming back. And then there were 25%, which is a healthy number, who said, I'm not quite comfortable yet. I'd like to hear what it's going to be like. And only if certain safety requirements are met. So that's where we sat about 3 weeks ago. My faculty survey sort of paralleled the parents in a way. 32% were real positive about coming back, no worries. 43% had various mixed feelings, right? So, my God, the kids in masks, how is this going to work? Or how do I keep the kids 6 feet apart? All very valid concerns. And 25% were much more nervous and had some personal health concerns. So, but one of the biggest concerns that came through that teacher survey was, how do I teach in-person kids and online kids at the same time? That's asking our teachers to rub their tummy and pat their head. And that really came through loud and clear, that we need a path to allow our teachers, they're incredibly adaptive instructionally, but to do one thing or the other, to teach in person or teach online. So part of the plan we're going to present tonight really took that into account. So we propose that we reopen District 80 schools in a hybrid model where students come 2 days a week for 4 hours a day. What this does, instead of that 5.5 hours that we talked about in the survey, is this allows us to keep our students in those masks the whole time. We don't have to have snack, we don't have to, eat lunch, because we started to think about it, and we really, we thought, oh my gosh, how crazy are we? We're asking students to sit in one desk for 4 hours in a mask, and then they get to take it off to eat lunch and sit there for 20 minutes without a mask on, talking to each other in the closed space of the classroom. This isn't us sitting outside dining al fresco without our masks on. That's different. We're talking about the closed classroom. And even if we do pump up the air mix, which we are doing, we're definitely recirculating the air way more than we usually do, it still was a concern for us. So we thought, to be completely honest with you, this 4 hours a day was kind of a turning point where we really think we are going to provide the most safe environment for in-person learning.
We really realize once they take off those masks, all of the things that we have done to socially distance them, to clean, to deep clean, to sanitize, to keep everything clean, none of that matters anymore. We've now taken off our masks and everyone is having the risk.
So how does option 2 work? On Mondays and Tuesdays, students with last names that begin with A through L will attend in person. Students who have last names M through Z are at home and will be instructed live. So for example, at Giles, all students will log in at 8 o'clock in the morning. Some of my students will be in person. Some of my students will be at home, but my teachers will rotate through 6 classrooms. One of them is empty, and they will be teaching the students online learning only. The other 5 classrooms, they will have half of their class in person. So 13 or 14 students in front of them, perfectly socially distanced, able to give them in-person learning. You might describe at Lee, how is this, it's different at Lee.
Well, it's not that different though, but at Lee, they would still all sign on in the morning, and the students who were in person would be working with the teacher who's right there with them, and that's their homework teacher that they always work with. And the students in like the B section who are signing on online at home would be meeting with someone else. Maybe that's where they'll have their specials. They'll have like art and gym and music through that venue. They'll also be able to have some small group experiences with some of the paraprofessionals who will be able to help the learning continue. So that's the 2 ways we'll look at it at Lee. And then in the afternoon, the students who were not in person in the morning will then meet online with the teacher in the afternoon, so that we can keep learning going in the afternoon.
And teachers at Giles will also meet with students in the afternoon remotely, but it will be a small group kind of experience, and it will be a way to differentiate for the needs of our students. On Wednesdays, everybody works remotely. What's beautiful about this is it gives both schools a chance to have a break and breathe, right? So any virus that might be in the air has a chance to settle. We have a chance to clean both buildings twice before the other group gets in. And we are assured then that we hit every surface in every way that we need to. And then Thursday and Friday, the other half of the alphabet comes in.
For Lee on Wednesday, will be the teachers will be meeting with the students online, doing a lot of small group work, ELL work, which also could be on the other days,
teach, meeting minutes, on IEPs, all those different things where we have that flexibility to be able to meet one-on-one or 12.
Kindergarten is a different animal, as usual.
And I did conduct a survey of kindergarten parents. And what we found were that kindergarten parents, and this is certainly understandable, they don't want to pay for a full day if we're not in school for 7 hours. And quite frankly, we're not comfortable expecting them or asking them to do that. And while you know, for me, this is really difficult, but I think for this school year coming up, at least until we reevaluate, or if there is a safe way back to school, we feel that we would like to only offer half-day kindergarten. We would refund tuition to anyone that's paid it. We've been in communication with the Norwich Park District, and perhaps they can offer something for parents that need that second side of daycare. But we will be putting in an in-person plan for kindergarten that also has a little bit of remote learning for kindergarten. But mostly, we want kindergarten students in school. Kindergarten students, even if there are 5 of them in a remote learning situation, is challenging. So we really do need our youngest students in school the most that we can, in the safest way that we can. And we feel at this point that that is a decision that we feel we need to make tonight. Also to let parents know the plan so they can plan for their
In kindergarten, it will be more in-person learning. We're still working on the details of that, but we want them to be mostly experiencing their education in person. Tonight, I'd like to introduce our new Director of Special Education, David Dorr. He is joining us tonight to talk about special education in COVID school and in Option 2.
Very nice to meet you. I'm very excited to be here in this role. I mean, the first reality is that there's always going to be students that that are going to need some additional considerations to meet their dynamic needs. That's one of those things that we want to kind of continue to do. So we will have some students, we have students that will need further in-person instruction to meet their IEP goals and some of their other kind of related services, OT, SLP, and so forth. For preschool, students will attend 2.5 hours, but will be offered 4 days of in-persons, so Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Because just like kindergarten, it's very hard to have online pre-K. And leave our students with our students in the low incidence population really benefit and have a hard time accessing e-learning in a very kind of meaningful way. So we'll be looking at doing 4 days of in-person instruction with these students as well as trying to meet their needs for some of the students who are more at risk in having to have that, distance learning model in a way to meet their needs. It's something where it's hard with special education, as always, as the individual, it's very hard to give a succinct plan because every student plan is going to be needed, but it is going to be driven by the IEP that the team decides that that's meets their needs.
So you will be working with case managers then to contact all parents of students with IEPs?
Yeah.
And you will be working on what works best for that child. So we ended the school year before David got here with remote learning plans for each of our students with IEPs. So we will go off of those plans and then look to, offer a little bit of extra in-person if it's needed for the goals of that individual child.
Yeah, and it's nice because there already are times in which we're looking at potentially being able to meet some of those additional time requirements that are built into the kind of schedule that is right there.
Nice.
One question for Ms.
Yeah.
For our students that use exterior facilities, do we have any information related to parents yet on what's happening with those facilities on how we're going to care for those residents?
As far as additional information, Metro is looking at doing kind of a hybrid model blending where they're doing Monday and Tuesday and also I believe Thursday and Friday, depending on the student's last name. It's one of those things where they would mirror what we decide as a district. So, for example, if we go entirely e-learning, then they would also mirror that for their students as well, and kind of follow our district direction and guidance. That's only one example of any of our off-president services, but they're, it's one of those things where that information is not being communicated with the parents, but that information is also just like, we're starting to roll it out. They're getting the governors, they're having their committee meetings, and they're starting to roll out their plans to us as well. So that's something we need to look at. And the other thing is also, I know with some of those outplacement facilities, there's an increased kind of concern as far as health. So they actually might be more cautious, just as a modus operandi than, say, a typical public day school, such as Johnson.
All right. So, lots and lots of what ifs. One, what if a parent wants to keep their child home all of the time? We have a plan for that, and we will be live streaming instruction 5 days a week to those students at home. We want to make sure there is a path for those learners that need that option. Parents may want to switch days. I was a parent. I know. I had grandparents who would come and watch my kids. And if my mom were to work Monday and Tuesday and I needed, to switch days, we will offer parents the opportunity, if there is a special circumstance, to switch days. Now, we want to sort of balance those sections, but again, we want to meet the needs of our parents and our students. Staff may have their own childcare issues, so our staff will be required to be on campus full days for in-person instruction and remote instruction in the afternoon, 4 days a week. And I have been partnering, like Michelle said, with the Park District to allow for on-campus daycare for our students, but also for our teachers' students. So we would be working on those needs. We will be surveying all of our parents and teachers for that as well. And we're just really committed to working with the needs of everybody to make this work. Like I said, that new survey should be out by Friday, if not before. So why this option? We believe that this is the safest way to provide some in-person learning. We believe that masks on children all the time is the best way to enforce masks, as well as keep everyone safe while they're at school. The students all will have assigned bathrooms. So each grade level has their own set of bathrooms in our district, at Giles and at Lee. So for an example, I think of my 5th grade hallway, 120 5th graders, 60 on campus at a time, roughly half are boys, half are girls, 30 students using a bathroom facility, but 4 hours, not everybody's going to be using that bathroom facility. So we're cutting that way down on the community shared spaces. If quarantine were necessary, we would be quarantining 13 or 14 students, not 20 or more. We still are waiting for guidance from the Illinois Department of Public Health as far as required quarantines, but we will be notifying families when there is a positive test for COVID, and we would give them an opportunity to choose to self-quarantine. This option makes it easier on some level for our families to add days back rather than subtract days. I would much rather start off with a system where our families have to figure out, okay, what are we going to do on the days they're not in school, so that they have a plan in place. If I add back a couple more days in person, it's easier to adapt to that rather than the other way around. And finally, all of our students will be learning live, and it holds them more accountable for the curriculum and attendance. What we don't talk about tonight, we'll be talking about in the future, will be the grading, the homework, things like that, the curriculum offerings. Those will be forthcoming.
So with the changes that we're proposing tonight, we have some fees that will change along with that. And these fees changing will be under option 2, but I should probably cover all the other options as well.
So we'll present that in a minute. I want to make sure we answer any questions you have about option 2 before we go to the revised fees. So, questions?
Questions from the board?
Yes.
Can we, just for presentation's sake, clarify with this agreement, are you going to have the permission slip idea for classrooms, or is this going to be completely separate for streaming?
So since at Giles it's completely separate, we'll be able to. So we don't have any students in person. Now, students online can see each other, right? But as far as that concern about having in-person and remote, that goes away. Yes.
I have a question. Can we go back to teaching students online? So if parents want to leave their son or daughter at home and not return them to school, is there going to be interaction with teachers learning online? Is there interaction where a student can be at home and they have a question and they'll get an answer right there?
They're actually going to be live teaching.
Live teaching. Yeah.
There are going to be times, where maybe you're working on MyPath and you have 20 minutes to go work on MyPath at home. But your teacher will be live with you whenever there's teaching going on.
And then another question I had is on Wednesdays when the building is closed, who's going to be doing the cleaning? Is there a plan for that already? Is it our staff? Is there outside staff coming in?
So citywide is our second shift custodial staff, and they will be cleaning both during the day and second shift.
Yeah, we've already spoken with Pat Rossi about that, and he has spoken with them about it.
Just out of curiosity, we bought those 2 machines, right?
Yes,
Did they come in yet? Do we have those?
I don't know. Not yet. Yeah, they were supposed to be here at the beginning of August, so. But our cleaning company has machines that are very much like the Clorox 360 machines and their own solution, so we're confident that we'll have that deep cleaning option right away.
Just for clarification, can you clarify again, option 2, on the days when the student is not physically in the building, what are they expected, what's the expectation for that student? And we'll just, my case, I'm B, so my child would come Monday, Tuesday, in person, 4 hours, off on Wednesday, not in the building, but e-learning, right, all day. Thursday and Friday, what is the expectation of that student?
So there'll be specific times that they have to be online. What's wonderful about Google Meet, which is the platform that we use, it actually speaks to Power School and takes attendance. So the teacher will see, like they don't have to look to see, is that you, Tesla? They will know who logged on and who's online, which is pretty cool. It automatically takes attendance. And so they will be responsible for logging on at a certain time, being there to learn the material at a certain time. About 3.5 hours a day at Giles, and even more depending on the small group. So in the afternoon at Giles will be more differentiated instruction. Your child might be invited to come work on math. Let's say you're having trouble in math. They could be invited to extra math in the afternoon, depending on the need.
So now I have a second question just to follow up on that. Will parents be notified of those types of one-offs that you're saying? So say somebody does need some intervention and needs to for ELA or math, then, I think getting the parents to support that, this way, if they are at work, maybe they can set a timer on their cell phone and say, hey Jimmy, you have to log on in about a half hour, be ready, that type of thing, so.
Absolutely. Well, and they'll know the expectation for the logging on for the core of the work. And then we'll make an appointment with the child for the extra differentiated part. So they'll have their own schedule.
And once we have the survey results that will be going out on Friday, and the parents are saying, yes, I'm coming in, or no, I'm not coming in, or could I switch days, we will be able to put that all together and then put together a schedule. So the children will get an actual schedule, even the kindergarten children will get a schedule. This is when you're expected to be on, this is what your day looks like. While we may change that schedule from time to time, because the groups are fluid, and we are trying to meet individual needs of students, so that may have to change from time to time, but we're pretty committed to the first 6 weeks. And if things happen to change after that, we'll certainly let people know.
I have one more question. Now go back to the what if section. What if, either way, either scenario, parents decide they want their son or daughter to stay home and heal it, right? What if a week or two goes by and they say, you know what, I think I want my son or daughter to go to school, or vice versa? How are we set up for that, and can we accommodate that?
Yeah, we need a week. So they would need to notify us, and we would, we kind of want to know why. If you committed to a whole trimester of online learning, that's a pretty big deal, right? But if they give us a week, we could make room for them, get them a seat, make sure we're ready, get them their schedule. It would take us just a few days, but yes, we could be dynamic. Yeah. But the survey we're going to send out, we don't want a lot of changes in the first 6 weeks. We really would like to set this up and make a commitment. But I know there's always exceptions.
So on the survey that you guys that you're going to send out, is it going to specify in there your expectations of a week notice either way?
We can communicate that, yes.
But also, I'm sorry, but also, if you're committing to keeping your child out for the first quarter, changing something in there throws off a lot of wheels, as they say.
It does. We would like
You know what I mean?
to
Accommodate, we can, you know what I mean, but there
Well,
won't be a
I'm
change.
asking that question because going back to what you said, Ms. Muller, we do, we're here for the community, right?
Yeah.
And the community, the way the environment is now, the way the world is, people's lives are changing every day. So I don't, the expectation of filling out a survey on day 1, to me, could change after day 16 based on people's lives and people's homes. That's just the
It's
reality.
all back to
of life.
work.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm asking that, to accommodate the community.
Absolutely.
All right, I have 2 other things though. Classroom sizes and the wearing of the mask.
Yes. So.
That's all decided for us right now, really, right now.
Well,
By
class
most of it.
sizes, obviously, we're in phase
Right.
4, so everything has to be under 50, which we wouldn't have a class of 50 anyway. But we're looking at, I don't know, anywhere between 20 and how high it would be.
So the biggest group is 132 students. The biggest grade level in any of our schools is 132. So that's 26 or 27 in a class, in 5 classrooms. So, no, in 6 classrooms. So if we were all back in person, it would be 26 or 27 at Chavez. In that
The
one
proper
grade level.
spacing though?
We could not be 6 feet apart in that grade level in my classrooms. I can get 20 to 22. 22 if I took out everything, including the teacher desk.
Okay, so we are limited by what the CDC and what the IDPH is telling us that we can do. So this is the best decision
It is
that we're coming up with because of those rules that they're giving us.
correct, yeah.
Okay.
So,
I have a few questions.
yes.
Obviously not going to school full time, there's certain subjects that kids won't be able to do, band, gym, et cetera.
No,
We'll
we're
have
having band,
Band, gym, and some. would
and we're
they-
having gym. They just can't change, and they can't, it has to be 6 feet apart and not sharing equipment. There'll be a lot of yoga going on.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So would the curriculum get cut short in any subjects?
so at Giles, we fully intend to have all of our curriculum offerings, actually. There'll be shorter amounts of time. So will we cover the breadth of curriculum? No. But we fully intend to offer all of our curriculum in this 2.0 world. Lee is also a little different.
Oh, but we're fully intending on covering all curriculum.
Okay, next question. When the surveys do come back and we want to aim for 10 to 15 kids per class, right? What if the survey comes back where we're getting 8 and 8? Would you be able, would a child be able to do all 4 days to maximize that? Does that make sense?
I can't offer all 4 days except for students who have IEP needs.
But if the numbers are, if the survey comes back and you have, let's say, 20 kids, could we rotate where they can go 4 days and one week, you know?
We would cross that bridge when we come to it. If enough kids stay home is what you're saying?
Yes.
Could we offer the 4 days in person? Maybe. But it would take a lot of kids staying home. It really would. I would need to get it down to, our architects, we literally had a report from our architects that said that we could safely put 16 kids in our classrooms, socially distanced.
And that has nothing else in the room. You can take everything out of the room.
Right. That was what the architect said. I think I could give it a couple, but again, 16 without hiring more staff, because that's our constraint, right? We want to do this within our budget. We would have to have quite a few students staying home. A third, that's a lot.
And the last question stems into that. If we start off with this hybrid and it just becomes difficult for students to wear the mask throughout the day and they decide to keep them at home because they're having a difficult time, what is the rock bottom in regards to students coming in where we would continue to offer the 2 days a week hybrid schedule? If we get to
Oh, what's the tipping point to just call it and go
Correct.
remote?
Correct.
I don't know, that's something the board could decide. Or, I mean, if the CDC doesn't shut us down, right? I would think I could give that to the board as a decision. I don't know. Because, I mean, we have a lot of, if we had a third of our students who were attending in person, wouldn't we want to do that? I don't know. We always have this online learning, but it is difficult to teach 70 kids online at the same time. So, you know, it's gonna be tricky. I would probably bring that back to the board. Yeah.
The way things are now, the administration is telling the board and the community that they believe option 2 is our best route. What is your expectation to move forward from option 2, potentially to an option 3 or 2, not for 2 days, maybe 3 or 4, as we sit right now? Things can change and we don't know, but let's just be positive and say things were going good. What is the best rate?
So we would like to make that decision by the beginning of October and to activate the day after Columbus Day. So that's October 14th, 13th, 14th. So whatever that Tuesday is. We would want, so we need a couple weeks to adjust, but then we would move. If we are successfully holding school, we don't have any infection, the rest of society is still in phase 4 and things are reopening, then we would love to move to option 3. Yep. it's so much we can't control, right? So we can only control what we can control. And so if everything's going really, really well, if we feel that everybody's safe, I would love to move to that right after Columbus Day. I can't do it. It's really, really hard. So, all right, so fees. How much less are we going to charge for fees based on this new plan? So, real quick, we just modified our curriculum fees. Oh, okay, well then maybe you can speak to that before I go get the right one.
So, first wanted to just remind everyone of what curriculum fees go for. Curriculum fees are for the curriculum. It's not to pay for staff that is in the building. It doesn't go to, benefits for anyone. It goes to pay for the curriculum. The curriculum is going to be there no matter what. Curriculum, we're always going to need to purchase curriculum. In fact, as I've presented to you a couple of times, we have a new curriculum in K-2 here at Lee, and there you go. So first, I wanted to just remind you that's what the curriculum fees are going for. Now, we have a couple of fees that, due to situations, then what we'll be offering, that need to change. So we're seeking approval for that. For example, preschool, which right now is 5 days a week, would only move down to a 4-day-a-week option, where Wednesday the students would be in the building. So we would take a fifth of the tuition out of preschool. So it would be $2,080 instead of $2,600. Full day kindergarten, we would eliminate the fee. We would no longer the tuition. And we do have to refund some fees. In third grade, we would not be purchasing the recorders this year. I know they're a favorite of all of you at home, I'm sure. It's too much, but we wouldn't be purchasing them this year. Fourth grade, where we want to limit the amount of paper and things that are going back and forth, so we would be eliminating planners in fourth grade. In fifth grade, the students purchase a heart monitor strap for PE class. We would eliminate that at this point, since it wouldn't be needed for PE class right now. And in fifth grade, we always charge $10 for shirt, $10 for shorts. This is the first time I'm experiencing a PE uniform. So we'll eliminate those fees, and you can speak to band.
So band transitioned to online. When we did remote learning, they had small group lessons still online. With that in-person option, a couple days a week, our band students would still have access to some in-person small group lessons, as well as some online small group lessons, but we would not have concerts. There would not be a competition to go to. There wouldn't be concerts. There would be no ensemble band experiences. So we took a look at how many small group lessons there would be, approximately 33. A couple weeks we don't have them due to starting and ending school, etc. But 33 small group lessons at about $6 a lesson is how we came up with a $200 band fee instead of the $295 band fee. So we kind of took away the money that we could use to rehearse large groups and perform large group situations.
So just a recap of the fees then for first grade and fourth grade, it would be a standard $260. Fifth grade then goes down that $38 to $300, and there's a couple different books they have to purchase at the first time in fifth grade, a Spanish book.
Yeah.
And then 6th through 8th grade would be 280. Speech only, alternative placement, and then of course band. Speech and alternative placement do not change, and then band with the proposed $200.
Unfortunately, at this time, the the sports season has been canceled for the fall, so there will be no sports. There just wasn't a way that we felt safe as a superintendent group to transport students to other buildings and have them compete with each other. So they put that on hold and canceled that for now. So the fee wouldn't change if we were to sometime bring back a sport. You know, we would still have teams and we would still charge that same fee. But at this point, we don't have any path to having those sports or activities for the fall.
Ms. Palmer, that's not a District 80 decision.
It was not a District 80
That's a conference
decision.
decision.
It was a conference decision. A letter will be going out. I saw a draft of it today, and the decision is made. So I thought I would bring that to you. It's so unfortunate. We're just so, we're really sad about that. But we have no way of, you know, quarantining our athletes like they do in the NBA. So, yeah, right. All right, questions about fees?
Yes, going back to that, so with the model, they're not going to be able to do it in school, or will that be worked in to do that?
Well, so here's my problem, right? I don't think our instrumentation breaks down perfectly A through L and M through Z. We'll do the best we can. I mean, he can do 2 beginning groups, A through L and M through Z. We're definitely forcing Mr. DeCaro to be very flexible and responsive. We'll do the best we can.
I'm curious as to if there was a student that, based on their family's beliefs, wanted to stay home, but want the band. You know, I'm looking, I guess, for that
We
piece
can
of
make that work.
online instruction and not just assignment, you know, more of like a Google Classroom experience.
Yep.
You know, it has to substantiate the fee.
I totally agree. It needs to be live instruction just like everything else. Absolutely. All right. Questions, concerns? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That is all.
Okay, our administrative reports are next. Ms. Palmer?
So we are looking for a day for our traffic study. So I don't know if you recall, but we had a traffic study done by the village, and we are trying to arrange for a date. We are looking for the beginning of August. They weren't able to meet the August 6th date we selected, so we're looking for another date. We'll be checking your calendars for that. But we'd like to have a separate special meeting for the traffic presentation and to talk through that. Of course, traffic gets much easier when we have only half the students coming to the schools at any time. But still, we don't want to lose out on the information that Mr. Worthman can bring to us. So I do want you to know that that's still coming and still in the works. Other than that, we are looking to, improve our schools. We've been doing a lot of work. You'll see a lot of things happening. The next project is the ceiling that was approved by the board at Giles that needs to be fireproof. So the painting of the ceiling at Giles will occur next week. And I think there'll be a report in Buildings and Grounds with all of the other wonderful things that are happening at our schools. It's been a lot of work, so that's great. Like I said, as you've seen, Michelle and I have been working very hard on our plans for bringing our students back and working really, really closely and collaboratively with our NEAT union leadership on making this happen. So we really appreciate that partnership.
The only thing I really want to report this month is, as I presented to you, I think it was last month, the responsive classroom plan. That is the PBIS system that is starting to end next year. This week, right now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is the training week through responsive classroom. It is a Zoom online training from 8 in the morning to 3:30. And we have several new teachers that are attending, and we are making our plan and moving forward with our PBI system, which we're very excited about here. Other than that, I agree with Stephanie on getting the buildings ready, on taking out carpets, on getting rooms ready for social distancing, getting the supplies we need, the cleaning supplies we need to come back to school, and the supplies that we need for the students when they come back in about. So it's actually very busy right now.
Thank you both very much. As I mentioned earlier, on the modification of the agenda, public participation is out. So if you didn't get a chance to sign in, take a minute now. If you have any questions on the presentation tonight from Ms. Palmer, Mrs. Guzik, please feel free to ask.
Sam, while we're waiting on that, I do have a quick question for the admin. Kind of going back and forth. So if there was any, I'm not sure, if there were any to prepay for kindergarten, what kind of time frame can they look at reimbursement?
Sure, that's a great question. Who can take the number? So I think we're looking at, we would have the reimbursement out by the 10th of August, I believe. Our staff does not work full-time in July.
Now, my last little question goes back to Giles. I haven't heard any release from Ridgewood yet. Have we heard any updates from them at all pertaining to the students that have earned rights to take classes at Ridgewood?
They're still planning on letting our students come and take classes. If they are remote e-learning, our students would do the remote e-learning right along with the freshmen. So,
And if they were going over there physically, does that affect any of our scheduling for those specific areas?
well, we would have to work that out. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Yeah. They would most likely have to get over there. Usually we do it at the beginning or end of the day. But it's very much looking like they'll be doing remote learning, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Moving on to public participation. We'll take 1 second.
At each regular or special meeting which is open to the public, the Illinois School Code and board policy require the members of the public and the board's employees be afforded time to comment or ask questions. The board's agenda designates this portion of the meeting to recognize those visitors, provide an opportunity for comments, or to ask questions. The board asks that speakers identify themselves and limit comments or questions to no more than 5 minutes. The 5 minutes may be shortened if the president must conserve time to give the maximum number of individuals an opportunity to speak. Speakers are reminded to conduct themselves with respect and civility towards others. The board also requests that speakers refrain from identifying individual students or staff. Speakers who choose to identify specific students or staff do so at their own risk. Please keep in mind that the opportunity to engage in public comment in a school board meeting does not insulate speakers from liability or violations of rights. Lastly, if someone wishes to present an unresolved complaint to the board requests that you contact Ms. Palmer. Thank you, and the board now looks forward to your comments and questions.
Thank you. We'll go in order how public signed in. Please give me a roll.
I'm sorry. I'm going to be fast. I'm just speaking on behalf of the teachers union. I know you've heard Michelle and Stephanie say how we work together and how this has been going. I will tell you, before school even let out, they were ahead of the game. They had the teachers involved. There was a group of people that were making plans. I actually think we should have published the plans because we could have made money off of it, because I think we fit every plan I've seen so far going on. But the teachers were involved from what it's going to look like when the kids come to the school in the morning to, you know, what do we think is going to be safest, to, you name it. If there were different committees, we were all involved in it. I think the fact that they send out the surveys and I truly listen to what the teachers are saying, like they were so nervous about the lunch. There are still some people that are very nervous and we're going to try to accommodate it, but they honestly, anything, teachers' feedback that came back, they listened to every single thing that was said. They were willing to talk to them on the phone or set up meetings privately. That was huge. We even made a document with any questions teachers had, and we're up to like 9 pages. And I will tell you, these two ladies will sit with us for hours on Google Meet and answer every single question to the best of our ability. So, can't say enough about it. I feel like there's still, some people are nervous and some people are worried about health and they're willing to accommodate everything. So, when we come back, everybody will have a good attitude and feel safe and do their very best. So, really kudos to you guys, because you look at what's going around and it's not happening everywhere. So, we are very grateful.
Our next signee is Natalia Zanaya. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
NSD80, yeah. And I wanted to say I agree with that a lot. I have a friend who, you guys did an amazing job, who, their child was in a suburb, like a private school that they were paying like $5,000 a year. And she told me when they shut down, they had 1 hour of e-learning every week. And I told her about how we did 5 days a week, e-learning that would take up like a solid few hours. We had worksheets, all this stuff, participation with the teacher, and they were like blown away by how you guys were able to do this on the fly after a week of preparation. So honestly, you guys did an amazing job, and I didn't even realize how amazing until I started talking to other parents and their experiences that they had, because they were so disappointed with their school. I'm like, man, my little school in Norwich is great. This is all applied as the teacher. So you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I did have a couple questions. The first one is, for the Wednesday days that they're going to be at home, what type of learning is that? Is it going to be like the iReady, the RAS, and the EPIC, or is it going to be a different type of e-learning now?
There will be some of those, in the contact Fractal will be having their Wednesdays, but it will also be the teacher involved in instruction. What I see for Lee is it's going to be that time to work on individual growth for the students. So we might set up groups with 5 students, we might set up a group of 2 students. It depends on individual needs. So we'll set a lot of time on Wednesday, which we really honestly missing in our spring plan. We didn't have that one-to-one time where we could work on strategies and work on individual things for the students' needs. So we'll be able to do that on Thursday.
That's awesome. And then the other one is kind of a somber note, but, God forbid, knock on wood, if we do begin seeing teachers or students start to get sick, do we have a backup plan to protect the kids and the teachers as well? Like, if we have one group of teachers, there's only so many subs that are going to be available in the district to come back in a month, where is it going to be, if we run through 2 subs already, we're just going to shut down school, or that grade level will just go into quarantine, or is that going to be included in the communication of parents?
So we will be keeping everyone, we will communicate as much and as fast as we can. However, there are so many what ifs, right? The beauty of our plan and why we think it's the safest is it has the fewest number of people together who would be exposed by someone getting COVID. If a teacher at Lee, for example, a 2nd grade classroom, 1 student were to get it and the rest go on quarantine, then that teacher goes home and teaches from e-learning from home to those students, right? They all just go remote. And unless the teacher gets sick and can't, work, well, then we would provide a sub. But for the most part, right, we can keep that class going.
Yeah. Would it be a sub, like, e-learning sub, like the whole class is still going quarantine? Or would it be the students are still going in just with a sub?
So we would have to cross that bridge when we come to it. I can't know. If, for example, they go out and some of the people on the opposite days want to come in still, that in-person learning, right? We might have to combine into another 2nd grade or what have you.
Okay.
Again, Michelle and I are going to just, it's going to be one problem-solving fun party after another, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think you get it. Honestly, you guys did an amazing job. When I put into contact with the parents, it was,
We really appreciate it.
it was a lot, yeah.
moving on to our board committees. Roll call, Mr. Ball, your second reading. Building and grounds.
There's a number of things that have been going on. Our building and grounds director, Matters left. We now have a part-time consulting, but on premises, building and grounds director. And this report is based off of his meeting with administration. And I'll tell you about that. Both schools will have a intercom upgrade involving the bells, speakers. As you can imagine, they're pretty old. They'll be getting upgraded to modern, working systems. That's underway. The Lee parking lot, as many know, has a lot of damaged parts. In fact, there's a part that's caved in. That's actually because of a sewer manhole that's collapsed underneath it. So months ago, we thought it would be about, we were looking at quotes for about 5 areas that needed repair. But on further inspection, there's actually now really 11 areas that need to be repaired, one of which involves underneath the asphalt, rebuilding the sewer manhole. So we were looking at that, thinking, well, should we just repair? But then thinking that the cost of repairing, either actually doing some of the asphalt, should we do the whole asphalt and seal it? That was an idea, but as it turns out, it's a pretty comprehensive job, pretty expensive too. And now knowing that there's really 11 areas to fix, it's been decided to just fix that 11 areas. And maybe next year, or within the next year, or next year this time, I should say, reseal and restripe the whole parking lot. The bathrooms that need that the preschool are using, those have been out of commission for some time now. We were hoping, and we're still hoping, soon to find out what donated equipment Slow be providing. Representative of that company has been met with, and we'll find out soon. But in general, a plan has been put together to remodel those bathrooms. Back in January, we had the summary report of the life safety study that had been done. The primary need, which was very comprehensive, was doors at both schools. And by doors, I don't just mean the door. I mean the door, the locks, its hardware, the door closers behind the door jams, a lot of anything involving the door. A couple months ago, a company called the Advanced was hired to start their progressively getting through all the schools. Both schools, and working on all the issues. I did a very detailed list of all the rooms, all the specifics to complete and provided them, and it moves moving steadily along. Just to know, when this is done, it's going to be the biggest, like I implied, it's going to be the biggest part of the life safety study that we need to do. And I personally am very glad this was addressed. Aside from, like a classroom meeting, you have doors that are secured, the peace of mind that all parents are going to have is also a plus. As Palmer touched on, painting of the 5th grade hallway. This was another prominent feature of the life safety study. The whole 5th grade wing, you can imagine in your mind's eye, is all a wood ceiling. And naturally, that's a fire hazard. Our architect explained that we have a few options with that, and we decided on the fire retardant painting, as you all remember. completed. And along with painting, there's a few 3 corridors in Lee that we're planning to get painted. Same company is handling all that everything. EAS controls stands for Building Automation Systems. These are the controls and the programming that goes with them for all HVAC systems, the dampers, the vents, and all that. The full inspection of them and their repair. This is to begin, actually, it was to begin today. And this is actually going to be very important coming up because the better these work, the more air circulation and automated control of that is possible. And in the past, we talked about that. In this day and age, automation of your HVAC children's units is a big deal. You don't simply have to manpower that has to run every control and manual control. Another feature of the life safety was the plumbing RPZ valve. It's a large valve at Giles that controls backflow. That is still being looked at. We're checking what our responsibility is with that and how comprehensive it is. The faculty lounge upgrade at SSD is on hold pending further investigation of further planning. The Giles locker room project is further planning. Last month there was 2 high school students hired to help with menial work, organizational, tossing out stuff. It's been a big plus. They've done a lot, as I understand. We hired a lead maintenance position August to be hired officially August 3rd. And as I understand, going back to painting the office area has been done, and it was done internally by staff. Thank you for that.
Beautiful color as well.
What color is that?
Taupey color. Beautiful color. It's a long search.
This is why I said it.
Okay, thank you. For any questions from the board of B&G?
What is the cost to fix these 11 areas? Because the parking lot, if you're fixing 11 areas, okay, the size of those and everything, what's the cost of having that done compared to the cost of having the whole parking lot remade?
Well, at the time, was it 10 grand a hole or a vehicle fix? And it was
The one that I kind of brought up about, there's a cone, actually, when you go out.
What is Pat have for the cost to fix the 11, so a little clearer maybe, to fix the 11 spots?
Patching 11 areas, 2,015 square feet. Total job cost, 10,500 feet.
Does he have what it costs for the whole thing?
39.
Okay, so we already 10,000 to fix one hole last time.
But that
Now
was,
they want 10 now for 10,000?
yeah, from what I'm seeing.
Just want to make sure I got that.
The 30,000 is a quote from Pat that he got, or is that an old quote that we had?
We got
New quote.
So this is
New quote from Pat?
So we have a new quote to add to the quotes we had from before. We tabled this item at a previous meeting.
Correct. I
We
know.
brought
I
back
understand that.
another quote for your consideration that is way better. And we believe that this will be a 3-year fix before we would even consider going to the $40,000 repavement option. That this is going to last. Plus, none of the repairs that this would afford us, we're not going to lose those repairs if we were to redo the project.
You're building a sewer cap that's not going to change the...
No, I understand that, but I mean, when you're patching certain areas and stuff like that, I know if we got, 11 spots,
Let me ask-
and we're
get a much
Yeah,
better
and it's
quote.
10,000, and it's 30,000 to refix the whole thing.
Well, actually, from what I'm looking at right here, so it says 10,580 to those 11 areas. So to make those 11 areas sound and
Say, correct.
then it said under options, it says mill and pave approximately 15,800 square feet and striping. So it looks to me that 13,975. So to me that's what you pay from the top.
From the 10,000, that was my question. Okay.
I have a question, just for clarification. I mean, this is a manhole, is this for a school system? I would like to know where a manhole or sewage comes into.
It's not a sewage, it's a storm drain.
Storm drain on our property.
On our property,
So from our
State's
retention,
not-
that's why it's on us and not
the
responsible.
state's not going to.
That's one in Liberty, yeah.
Let me give you one more.
Let me add one more thing, and Ms. Palmer, if I'm wrong, please correct me. I think it was on the recommendation of our building and grounds consultant, if you will, to not move forward with the entire fixing of the parking lots right now. Just the necessary fixes for now, because we do have some other priorities that need addressing throughout the building. Am I correct on that?
The automated system is more important than the development.
But the necessary areas will be fixed, right?
Right. Let's face it, getting those 11 areas fixed
We need to get those done. I understand you, I just want to know what the
The automated system, if you guys are unaware of this, is going to end up saving us tons of money over the years. To take that 30 grand and put it in the automated system, it's a no-brainer. The amount of money in electricity and everything else we're going to use, gas.
Thank you for the report. Communication.
Nothing to report out at this moment, but the communications committee would like to set up a meeting for August, so we can come up with a plan, and maybe we can work, jointly on that communication to the community on what is happening in our schools and how we're going to prepare for events, like if we end up going backwards, due to COVID, we can work jointly in that push for that communication. So if we could get a date, we'll start. It could be a Zoom meeting.
Any comments for communication? Okay, well, thank you. Finance.
Okay, so we had a virtual meeting on July 14th, Fred gave a presentation. The actual final numbers for 1920 also gave us a snapshot of 2021. We had a surplus at the 2019-20 year, which was nice to see. We exceeded our core policy and finished at 35.9% in the reserve, which was good to see. So we will meet again in September. I think at that time, Craig will be giving us the projected budget for 2021 for us to review. Tonight, we're going to be voting on transferring some funds. What we talked about before, $500,000 will be going into our ed funds because of the Cook County extending the property tax, and we just want to make sure we're covered for that. And I think at this point, we're going to start looking at our 5-year strategic plan. I think it's something that we really need to focus on and start going with it. So that's it. Oh yeah, go ahead.
So aside from that build to the sewer, there a couple of years ago, Chile had the wherewithal and the smarts and a very good idea to create an escrow account basically capital improvements, essentially life saving. That account has built up an amount that has been determined to safely cover what is expected to be spent on all that is life saving. So, for example, so in January we get life safety, the architect is able to tell you, you can expect to spend this much on this, and we have an amount that we think will handle that in this coming year. And it's systematic, we get through, because what happens then is hopefully we get through that, and then we report what we turn into life safety to the state. That's by then, we could show them, here's your report, and you address all of these. It would be an excellent spot. But I just wanted to mention that because fixing nothing has been a big concern for a lot of us. A lot of shortcomings, a lot of things that I reported on monthly. Now, so that money is set aside for a very smart way. Going into that, it's not what it does.
So, what was that exact number under budget again? I saw the percent, but I didn't hear that. 91,683. 900, how much? 981,000.
The auditors will be in this week, so we'll know more. I'm sorry, next week. Yeah, the auditors.
Thank you, Frank and Renzo. Any other questions? Negotiations. So I want to take a few minutes and comment, and I don't have my notes. I look back, Stephanie, you can help me with it. When do we start negotiating and meeting with the association? Roughly, maybe a month roughly?
We've been subcommittee meeting all year.
Right, well,
But-
with us, with
Yeah.
the committee, I mean, with the negotiation.
November, December, yeah,
Sounds about right.
last fall.
So from November, December of last year, up until probably last week, the negotiation committee, along with the administrators and the association, will meet and trying to collectively come to an agreement on their contract. What I want the community to know is, I believe this board has certain goals and objectives that we wanted to see happen. I believe the association understood that. And in any negotiation, there was some give and take. And we value our teachers here in this district, and I'm glad some of you are in the room tonight. So you'll see on the agenda under G. George for a line item for action item, we hope to approve that contract tonight. I want to thank the representatives that were in those meetings from me, and you know who you are. I'm not sure if people like their names being said or not, but I thank them directly. And they're representing 74, 75 people from A to Z. So that's a lot of work and a lot of responsibility, so we appreciate that as a board. I also want to thank Ms. Palmer, Mrs. Guzzi, for being that bridge between the board and between the association. The association and the administrators are in the building together daily. We are not. We are here to represent the community, and also we're here to value our teachers because our sons and daughters are in the room with you. So we want that morale to be as high as possible. We want our teachers taken care of, but at the same time, we want to be responsible to the community and as a board. And I think those objectives were met on both sides. And most recently, I also want to thank Sarah, because it's not just a meeting and we talk about it and then we go back and say, okay, let's vote on it, let's do it. This board was kept abreast every step of the way. It wasn't just 3 or 4 members in a committee deciding what's going to happen. And from the board perspective, everybody at these tables had a say. So sometimes, information's got to go through our council, through our legal, and that's where Sarah comes in, our district secretary. So emails, back and forth with paperwork, the administrators for helping bridge that gap, and the teachers. There's a lot of work that was done there. It wasn't just by one entity, probably 3 or 4, 5, 6 entities. So I think the board is in a good place and an active spot with the association. We hope you are too. So hopefully this is the start of a really great partnership. And again, please always understand that this board values the teachers. You are the backbone of the building, of the school. We are the board that represents where we live and the people that live here. So hopefully tonight I want to show you our appreciation. And we'll get that action item. Hopefully that will show as well. So thank you. We should come to an agreement there. Any questions from the board? Norwich Park.
We will talk about it in closed session due to the fact that it is a negotiation item, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
ISD, Mike.
Well,
you see here, under correspondence, the Triple I conference has been canceled. So the one for this year has been canceled. The fall dinner is also going to be combined with another district in order to condense it. And it will be online also. So we'll have to, we're going to get more information on that. They're working on the logistics of that. And then we'll find out from, if you still follow the AAA, I mean, if you go through with the ISAB, a lot of courses and classes are still being offered for nothing. So you can pick up a few extra courses or whatever, if you feel that you need them or don't need them or whatever, but they're being offered. There's a lot of them being offered for nothing still, if not all of them. So that's it.
Thank you. Old business, as mentioned, board policy updates are second reading. That's for tonight. Any new business that we're going to discuss?
I just have a couple of old business that,
Sure.
just want to know where we're at with those things, and maybe they're on hold because of the pandemic, but number one, our strategic plan. I know that we had Mrs. Madison working on that, just following up where we're at with that. And then the other thing I gathered was Senator Markway coming into our October meeting or maybe November meeting, and there were possibly some funds that we could have used to do something in the district. Just where we're at. Two things.
So the strategic plan did get completely derailed. We were at the point where we were working with our staff to do some focus groups around our strategic plan. Parts of the strategic plan are already flushed out. So Dr. Schilling has provided us with the financial leg of the strategic plan. We were really focusing on the academic portion. And again, that got sidetracked with the pandemic, but we fully intend to bring it back in the fall and propose at the next board meeting next year's goals for the district, as well as a plan for moving that forward. But yeah, and then Margaret, I have not heard from our senator or Lindsay LaPointe in several months.
You did report that you sent Representative LaPointe.
I did.
Email.
I sent that email, but other than that, I haven't heard back.
Should we follow up? I mean, I'm sure
They're a little busy, but yeah.
Just to circle back, maybe so we don't lose, the option or the capability of acquiring those funds to do
Sure.
some improvement.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any business from the board?
Yeah, I guess getting back to the board policies and everything, I really don't like this 2.125.
What is that, like, Arnold for?
Board members are not compensated. So.
You want to change that?
What's it down?
Look at it and say.
What do you think is a fair?
I don't know.
We're one of only two groups, I think. That do not get compensated.
Well, with that being said, board comment, we're on the board comment system. What's that?
Our county,
But,
I actually would like to say, I'm going to pull down for these districts. I like instruction. I don't have class in there. So first thing I want to say is coming through with the budget and everything. The votes have been around the past few years have been very rough. And there's been a lot of forfeit involved with things taken away from kids. There's been forfeit from the staff and tons of changes. And I'm proud to be part of a board and a new board that's keeping in mind what all those changes were for and moving in the right direction. So something that wasn't ever said was the completion of the deficit reduction still met with over $700,000 surplus. And that's continuing on to this year with meeting budget and exceeding goals at almost $1 million. You can say, why is that important? That's where things come through for the school. This is our battle. This is where we buy new things. This is where we fix old things. And that went away for a long time, following 10 million that everybody saw on Facebook. And the process is there. And this goes from the teachers union to the administration to the board to the support staff to everybody, working together to keep this going now and keep this progressing so we can continue to improve these schools and keep our staff there. That being said, my second comment, we'd like perfection. I'd like to say I think we're darn close. Every parent's perception is different. Every parent experiences different things, same as every child. This is something that hopefully none of us will ever have to go through again in our lifetime. I've said it before, my line of work, I get out, I'm in schools all across Illinois, Wisconsin. I talk to people, I talk to teachers, I talk to administrators. That's just what I do. And I just like to say I'm darn proud of the way our staff stepped up. There's always room for improvement. And going out to the parents, the administration, and staff, I think are pushing and working on those improvements for the 2.0. I'm proud where we're at, every bit of faith. And the staff here in this district to keep this moving regardless of what the CDC says, and regardless of what happens upcoming with COVID-19. I think everybody here is committed to doing everything we possibly can and making adjustments as we go because it is 100% out of our control where we sit. We have to adapt non-stop to what our directives are. So it does take some give and take again from the parents to help with the kids if we're in that situation. But I just wanted to thank our staff, seeing in comparison to other districts, comparing what was going on elsewhere. I'm proud to be on this board. I'm proud to have my child in the school.
Any other comments? We're going to move into closed session. With that being said, any motion to adjourn closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, collective bargaining matters, purchase or lease of real property, and review of closed session minutes, all in accordance with the Illinois Ohio statute.
Second.
Motion made by Graham. Frank, second. Ms. Wilson. Sir, can I have a roll call?
Mr. Trevizio? Mr. Bianco?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Plaza?
Yes.
Mr. Valencourt?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Lozano?
Okay, motion carries. I'd like to note the time, 8:39. Let's resume at 8:50, please, in closed session. Motion to return to open session.
I'll make a motion.
Motion being Renzo, second by Mark. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, we're now back in open session. Just to make note, the time is 10:18 p.m. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion before? Motion made by Lou. Second. Seconded by Clerk, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Lozano? Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Valencourt?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Trevizio?
Yes.
Mr. Plaza?
Yes.
Mr. Bianco?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to our action items. I need a motion to approve the resolution authorizing a loan from the working cash fund to the education fund.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mike, seconded by Tim. Any discussion? Okay, Sarah, roll call, please.
Mr. Valencourt?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Plaza?
Yes.
Mr. Lozano?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Bianco?
Yes.
Mr. Trevizio?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. I need a motion to approve the notice of public hearing concerning the intent of the Board of Education of Lawrence School District 8 to transfer money from the transportation fund to the education fund. Any discussion?
Second.
Mike, second by Tim. Roll call, please.
Mr. Valencourt?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mr. Bianca?
Yes.
Mr. Lozano?
Yes.
Mr. Plaza?
Yes. Motion carries. Need a motion to approve award of food service bid for the 2021 school year to the lowest responsible bidder, that being Gourmet Gorilla of Chicago, Illinois. Motion made by Renzo.
Second.
Second by Frank. Roll call please.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mr. Bianca?
Yes.
Mr. Plaza?
Yes.
Mr. Belfiore?
Yes.
Mr. Lozano?
Yes.
Mr. Lutz?
Yes.
Motion carries. Need a motion to approve the parking lot budget. Any discussion first? Okay, motion please. Motion.
Second.
Motion made by Frank, second by Mike. Roll call.
Mr. Trabuzio? Mr. Belfiore?
Yes.
Mr. Lutz?
Yes.
Mr. Lozano? Mr. Plaza?
Yes.
Mr. Bianca?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. I need a motion to approve the amended 2020-2021 student fees. Any discussion first? Motion please. Motion. Motion made by Tim, second by Pasquale. Roll call.
Mr. Lutz?
Yes.
Mr. Bianca?
Yes.
Mr. Lozano? Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mr. Plaza?
Yes.
Mr. Belfiore?
Yes.
Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the reopening of the schools plan. Any discussion? Motion made by Louis, second.
I'll second.
Pasquale. Roll call please.
Mr. Lozano?
Yes.
Mr. Bianca?
Yes.
Mr. Plaza?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mr. Lutz?
Yes.
Mr. Belfiore?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the 2020 through 2022 collective bargaining agreement. Any discussion? Motion made by Lou,
I'll second.
second by Pasquale. Roll call please, Sarah.
Mr. Lozano?
Yes.
Mr. Bianca?
Yes.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mr. Belfiore?
Yes.
Mr. Lutz?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Plaza?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. I need a motion to approve the ITR intercom upgrade proposal. Any discussion? Motion made by
I'll
Frank,
second.
second by Pasquale. Roll call please, Sarah.
Mr. Trabuzio?
Yes.
Mr. Bianca?
Yes.
Mr. Berardi?
Yes.
Mr. Lozano?
Yes.
Mr. Lutz?
Yes.
Mr. Belfiore?
Yes.
Mr. Plaza?
Yes. Motion carries. At this time, this board meeting reflected. I'll pass the sheet down. All right, a motion to adjourn at 10:23 p.m. Motion made by Pasquale, seconded by Tim. All in favor, say aye. Aye. If there's any opposed, say nay. Okay, meeting's adjourned.